Hello and welcome to our special of Mental Health Matters. It's a real pleasure to have these amazing women on the show. And as you can see, because it's a special, we do have a wonderful panel this week. We have Priti Saggi and we have Judith Crozier, who you know, and we've got another expert joining us in the second half, so you're going to stay tuned for that. Our topic today is living well at any age, especially for women. And this is something which has come up on Mental Health Matters, not only in the workplace or office hours show, but also after hours. As women, we might struggle a bit more and we have different demands, but society's changing and there are ways in which we can manage. And that's what today is going to be about. Not only that, but what has been lovely is society has been changing in its approach to women. I wanted to start off, first of all, with originally it used to be this invisible woman syndrome. It used to be this. It used to be if you're not a wife, if you're not a mother, what are you? There's no role to fulfill. Of course, that is changing. And we are now finally becoming more visible in general in the media, in the workplace, in social situations and so on, and not just as the hostess. And what's also lovely is that women over 50 now in particular are getting seen. Recently, we've had the Oscar nods to Demi Moore's The Substance. Yes. Absolutely fantastic film. Pamela Anderson's Last Showgirl as well. And also Renée Zellweger in Mad About the Boy.
That was brilliant.
So we're getting there. And we're also getting there to be seen as holistic, sensual, fun beings, not just mum. Okay, so today we're going to look at living well at any age. If our panel would like to introduce themselves and just say a little bit about what they do and I guess their approach to life. Let's start with you, Priti.
Hi, my name's Priti. I run an amazing charity called Creating Memories, and I help make the wishes of adults and children with life-limiting or terminal illnesses come true. And I truly believe this is my passion in life. This is what keeps me going. This is my purpose. And I'm really grateful I've got to this stage. It's been a journey. So when you say about living well, this was my journey to living well. Because before this, I was doing a job that did bring me some satisfaction, but actually wasn't where I wanted to be. And also I burnt myself out. I burnt out and I went through that syndrome of, am I good enough? Is this enough? What am I doing? I'm tired. I can't do this. And then when I took that time out, because during that period, I also had got divorced. I'd lost two people close to me. And this is where, even when you go through all this, it's the resilience of how you come out the other end. And for me, it was very much my charity rose from this. And this is where I realized what my purpose was. So I say to people, women, anyone, is take that time to figure out what you want to do. It does take time. It doesn't happen instantly, and give yourself that. But you know, when you burn out, yes, it's hard, but it gives you that time and space to focus on you and slow life down and look and go, what is really important? And what do I need to do now?
Absolutely. I love that. And today we'll hopefully, if it resonates, if our guests, if our stories that we share resonate with you, you know, let us know in the comments and hopefully you'll find some inspiration from today's show as well. Now, Jude, we know you from Mental Health Matters, of course.
Well, absolutely. And it's really nice to be here with Priti and later on with Anita. So some viewers will know me. I co-present with Audrey. Absolutely love this job. And I also have a couple of other jobs as well outside of this, nothing to do with media at all. But it's so interesting listening to what you're saying, because I'm literally at that point now where I've finally realised, you know, what life's all about. I feel like I haven't lifted my head in the last 2 years. I've just been working. And that Audrey knows something about, you know, those kind of challenges in those other jobs. So I'm actually on the brink of leaving those two other jobs. Yay! And taking, so literally everything you were saying, taking some time out, what's important, all of that. So I'm kind of almost there. So I'm really excited that I'm doing this. And I'm really excited to hear it kind of from your perspective as well.
Because you know what, I would like to say that it is scary. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, I'm petrified, but excited.
Do you know what, someone said this to me once. They were like, the reason you feel afraid or it's difficult is because it's new. Your brain doesn't know what it's doing. Once it gets used to it and you keep saying it, you take that first step, everything else will fall into place. It is just taking that step, and it is knowing this time will pass, you will be absolutely fine.
Yes, we've had one of our guests, Sandra Stein, she's a counsellor. She speaks about her own career journey, and she said she left one particular job which was very well paid, very secure, but she just had to have faith the universe will provide.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a really nice way to sort of start this show.
Yes.
And that is the way that I'd like to start. We've had many wonderful guests on this show, and I'd like to reintroduce one of our previous guests. This is Laurie Lux. She is another woman who has had to reinvent her career, and she's done it absolutely beautifully. She left a job which completely burnt her out, and she now works in feminine abundance, and she really loves it. But when we interviewed her, she gave her insights on why, as women, we don't put ourselves forward. So let's just take a look at what she had to say.
We play supportive roles in everything that we do, in our relationships, in family, being a mum, and also in work. We are always pouring into other people, pouring into other people's dreams, businesses, you know. So the thought of like you now doing something for yourself is very scary. You know, what if I fail? Am I good enough? That self-belief. Am I going to be successful? What are people going to think about me? So I think sometimes moving from a supportive role to now in a place of leadership, you're like, I can't do this. And again, the idea of leadership, you know, of what you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be as a leader can be off-putting for a lot of women.
Thank you, Laurie. So we hear that as women, we are conditioned to think a certain way, to do a certain thing. So let's go to you, Pretty, first of all. Living well, what have been some of the main struggles maybe in your own life or you can see in other people and the people that you come across? Why are we keeping ourselves unhappy, perhaps?
I do agree with you, it's society. It's how we've been conditioned, and it is a generational thing as well. I mean, there are changes, like you said, there are changes happening. Some are good, some are not, but we have to go with it. But it's finding your feet and working your own way forward, your own path. But, you know, for me, you know, it was drummed into me, being Asian as well, getting married. You get married once, you have kids, that is your life. And that was what you were basically, you know, trained to do in a way. And I mean, I was grateful enough that my parents wanted me to study and I got a university degree. So, you know, I did really well for myself in that sense. But it was still, you felt that the next step was to get married.
Yeah.
It wasn't get an amazing career. It wasn't go find this job that works for you. It was get married. And, you know, which I did do. And unfortunately, my marriage didn't work out. But that was really hard because you were then like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to get out of this because it then felt shameful. You felt like you'd let people down. But then it got to the point where you were like, actually, this really doesn't work. I'm really unhappy. And it isn't working for both of us. So then the decision was made for us to get divorced. And do you know what? As hard as that was, and do you know what? It was really hard for me, A, to tell my parents, and then B, to tell my gran, who is of a much different generation. And I was just like, how's she going to take this? What if something happens to her? What if, you know, she disowns me? But actually, my gran was amazing. She just hugged me and just said, do you know what? I just want you to be happy. And that's when I started realizing, as I got divorced and started doing more for myself and finding me again, I realized how much I'd missed out on.
Yes.
And also being there to see my family. You know, I'm so grateful in a way for getting divorced that gave me the time to go back and visit my family once a month in Wembley and spend that quality time with them. And especially my gran, because she passed away 5 years ago. And if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't have had that time.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so, but it's also, I feel, we're conditioned to also believe that we should work until we retire and then enjoy life. And I'm like, but
Put it
how
off,
are you?
put it off.
And I'm like, yeah, but they're moving the retirement age. So when am I going to retire? We'll be 70. I don't know what I'll be like in 70. And as we all know, we can't change getting older. That is going to happen.
Absolutely.
And there will be things that come
Physical
with it. Physical
problems.
Yeah. That come with it. That we
able
know
to
nothing
walk
about.
so far,
Yes.
or take planes anymore, or see so well.
Yeah.
So,
And for me, the thing was, as I was getting divorced, I also lost two people very close to me. And they taught me two very important things towards the end of their lives, which was, one was little things matter, because I wrote a friend a letter a day. So I'll fill you in more. I'm sure we'll do another show, so it'll be in there. And then the other one was about quality time towards the end of someone's life. They just wanted you to be there, to see them, spend that time. They didn't want anything else. That made me reevaluate my life. And when I made the decision that I was going to start creating memories and I'd go part-time at work, the amount of people in my workplace that said to me, what about your pension? And I'm like, hang on a minute. I was almost turning 40 at this point. I was like, you want me to wait till I retire to start a charity? I won't have the energy for that. It's either now or never.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, no, I take the leap of faith, because I'd calculated how much money I needed to live on, and I could live on my part-time wage. And this is where I think, as women, we're very good at juggling, multitasking. You know, we're very good at that.
That's beautifully insightful. I love that.
You know, but we are, and it comes quite
Use
naturally
it,
to us.
yes.
Use it. But also, I realised that as I had more time in my life, I feel like I've become more spiritual, and I've realised I was more spiritual than I was religious. And following that path, I've actually, when I burnt out as well, you know, one of my counsellors said to me, learn to do nothing. And I said to her, I don't know how to do nothing. That is just not possible. It's not in my makeup. It's not within me. And I said, she was like, all right, one thing a day. And that took a while, but I actually understood what she meant, which was focus on that one thing. If you can achieve it, brilliant. If you don't, still be kind to yourself.
Yes.
But that has been something that has helped me and made me realise, why are we always pushing ourselves so hard, so fast, to achieve what? When we drain ourselves. Yeah. And the only ones putting that much pressure on ourselves is us. Because nobody else is looking at us and going, did you achieve this? Have you done this? What about this? What about that?
That's so true.
It is, isn't it? And it's really hard to look at that and not feel like you haven't achieved. And then I realised, if I slow things down a bit, things still get done. Sometimes they get done even quicker.
Yes.
But I learned to enjoy my life. So, you know, I left that part-time job, and now I just work for the charity, and it was the best decision I made. And that was when I burnt out, because I couldn't juggle working part-time, starting a charity, doing both. One had to give. And in the end, it was me that just went, I can't do it. And then I chose the charity, and I just went, what was I afraid of? There is enough money in here to pay me part-time. And I remember my trustees saying, when we have enough money, you can work full-time. And I went, do you know what? No, I don't want to work full-time, because I don't want the charity to run me. I want to have a life. Yes. So by me choosing to work part-time and add in extra hours at my choice, I can now enjoy and do things when I finish work. Yes. So then you begin to enjoy life.
Yeah. And the word I hear there a lot is choice.
Yeah.
Yes,
It is
choice.
taking control over your choices, and that makes a huge difference, and we will talk more about that, because I think that's a very important aspect, and in our second part, when Anita Powell joins us, we will be talking about navigating menopause and the other things that we have to deal with. But Jude, listening to Pretty, I can see you nodding.
I know, it's so inspirational.
Exactly. In an ideal world, without conditioning, without those expectations, what does living well mean to you?
In an ideal world, somewhere where Pretty is now, so doing work if you want to sort of keep things ticking over, but also having enough time to do everything that isn't work that you want to do. So whether it's keeping fit, or whether it is going to visit family, or, you know, taking your dog for long walks every single day, which I really wish I had the time for. He does get a long walk every day, but it's not by me. So all of those quality of life things, and, you know, nothing really big. Again, it goes back to what you're saying. It's just all the small things that I really wish that I hadn't put on the back burner over the last few years, you know. So living well would be a mixture. I don't think I could ever give up work completely, but it would be a mixture of some part-time work, and then all of the other quality of life things, reading a book.
And I think you make a nice point there about the things that you didn't do, because the research suggests that we regret more the things we didn't do rather than the things that we did. The things that we did and went wrong, you kind of can get over them because you've learned from them.
Yes.
The ones you haven't done, you just never know, and that almost eats away at you.
Yes, because you won't ever get that time back again.
Yeah. So before we kind of move to that space of being able to choose, a lot of us have old wounds, which may come from society, from family, and what you say, Pretty, resonates with me. Similar Southeast Asian family, there's certain expectations and beliefs that are put on you. So you're told, don't be bossy, don't get emotional, save face, all of those sorts of things. Then we mask ourselves and we hold ourselves back.
Yeah.
How do we start lifting that mask? It's quite scary.
It is scary. And I think it's when you watch and talk to more inspirational women and see women who have taken those steps, and then you look at them and go, I can do that. And the one thing, brings me so much joy is to share my story, because for me, it's not about bigging myself up. It's actually about saying to people, do you know anything is possible? Because I would never have thought I would start a charity. It was not something that was taught to me at school. When you had careers day, or people would come in and talk to you, nobody talked about starting a charity. It was never heard of. And for me, I also never thought it would be for someone like me. I don't class myself as well educated, and to me, I thought you would have to be of a certain stature, a certain person to be able to do something like this. So then when this came, it was like a gift in my lap, just went, no, this is what you're going to do. And I didn't even think about it. And all I remember is just going, this is possible. And you just keep...
It's that. Now, to help us understand what is possible, we need to have visibility.
Yes.
And there's still issues in society, and we were able to speak to an upcoming female motorsports driver, Lily Jeffs, she's wonderful. She's so good at what she does, and yet there is still this invisibility of women in motorsports. So let's just take a quick look at what she has to say.
I think the main thing is you don't see any females in F1. There's a few about, and you've got F1 Academy now, which has really helped. But again, you don't see a role model that high up to look up to.
Yes.
I think if more charities now we've got that are helping it, more people, more of these types of shows as well, spreading the awareness of it all really helps.
Thank you, Lily. And it's really hard, isn't it? Because you can't do something. It reminds me of what you said before we went to the clip, Pretty. If you don't see it, you don't think it's for you.
But it's also, you have to remember, if you can follow your intuition, right? We all have this. And we, as women, it's much stronger for us. And if we can follow that intuition, and this is where it does help, slowing your life down a bit, meditation, taking that time out. And meditation could be different things for everyone. It doesn't mean sitting in a room silently. It could mean going out for a walk, just being in nature, but giving yourself that time and space. And as you do that, things will unfold for you. And, for me, the name Creating Memories came when I was at a party. And I was at a 50th birthday party, and the sister of the brother whose birthday party it was came up to me and went, I've got this video that I want, DVD I want to share of my brother, and I put all these clips together. And she goes, but they won't play it for me. And I'm like, you are? And I'm like, we're in the Hilton Hotel, in the penthouse, on the seafront.
For it.
Yeah, in the seafront in Brighton, and they won't do it. I said, give me the film. And I was like, what are you talking about? And bearing in mind, I shouldn't have to say this, but this is how I'm very determined when I'm on one. And for me, by the time I'd finished, they'd wheeled out a TV, a DVD player, a projector, a screen. And the birthday boys go, what the hell's going on? I was like, you wait and see. But that moment when they played it, and them two together, just holding each other, and the tears, and you could see how much it meant. And I just thought to myself, this would never have happened if I hadn't just gone, give me this and let me try. Yeah. And it was on the train journey home, and I just went, creating memories. But I never knew.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't know what it meant. But I never knew what it meant. And a couple of years went by, and then obviously when my marriage broke down, losing the 2 people. And that's when my life really changed. And I went, it's now I change things. If I don't do it now, then I will forever stay here.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's choice. And then I just went, it's creating memories. But it then became real for me. And it just went, I want to make the wishes come true for children or adults with life-limiting or terminal illnesses, because that's what 2 people close to me had died of. And I just went, I can make a difference. I can bring joy. Everybody deserves joy. And I have to say that working with these children predominantly at the moment, they have taught me so much. And it's for everyone, which is they're teaching you how to live in this moment, because they don't see the future how we see it. For them, this is now.
Yeah,
everything is
all
now.
Yeah.
So I say to people, let's take these opportunities, because they're coming our way for a reason. And sometimes you'll see the signs, but if you're not open, you'll miss them. Yeah. And they'll keep coming until you get it.
I think that's so right. That's so right. So Jude, just sort of basing on that, finding the space and looking for, I guess, not looking for the signs, but being open to recognising them. How would you want to role model your life to inspire a younger person, younger woman, to also just take that time to find what they need to find?
That's a really interesting question, because I think that as I've got older, I think my life's got more chaotic, more busy, and I have in effect a goddaughter. She's never been christened, but that's what she's always called herself to me, and we have this really, really lovely relationship. She's 14 now, and I would hate it if she saw the way that my life is as a role model, because everything is, I'm rushing from one thing to the other. I never have any time for myself. I never have any time for anybody else. So, she and I used to go out regularly for dinner, and we haven't done that for such a long time. So it's a really interesting question. But what I'm doing now, and I've recognised that I have to make that space for myself, that's what I would want her to say, is that, she's only 14, but start to look at nature, start to take those time out for herself, start to actually recognise the here and now, and don't wait until you've burnt out. Don't wait until, you're on your knees metaphorically with exhaustion going, I've got to give up 2 of my jobs, So, and also that's what I would, if I could go back 20 years, that's what I would do for myself, because I've always had this drive to work, be a perfectionist, do all these things, take all these things on. And I know where that comes from. It comes from both my parents in different ways. But I would still have that really great work ethic, but I wouldn't fill every single second up with work. Yeah. So that's what I would want, that balance, and that's what I would want to teach my goddaughter, is have the balance.
I love that. I love that. And that brings us so nicely onto the changes that are happening in society. We are moving towards a little bit more remote work, a little bit more flexibility. And so we've got Leanne Elliott. She was on our show. She runs the very successful, it's like one of the #1 workplace podcasts, Truth, Lies and Work podcast. It's brilliant. She doesn't hold back. And she's going to be talking about the benefits of remote work, which actually benefits women a lot more, which is really, really positive. Let's head over to Leanne.
Some people are calling it just a work trend. Others think that it kills creativity and productivity. And then, of course, there is the fact that recent surveys suggest that most leaders want all employees back in the office. One size doesn't fit all. And I know you don't want that answer. And the fact is, it isn't one or the other. It depends on the people you have in your business, their needs, what your business does, what your clients need. It all depends.
Okay, after this very, very short break, we'll be back with this week's hot take from Amy McCowan. And it is a spicy one.
Amazing. Thank you, Leanne. And Leanne has been working remotely even before remote work became a thing, so before the pandemic. But now we had the pandemic. Everyone's going back to the office, and it feels a bit like it's a bit of a ploy. It almost feels like we're being thwarted once again. as women, we need the bit of the flexibility to pick up kids, to do the washing, to pick up prescriptions, to do the other caregiving jobs. How can organisations, I'll start with Jude, how do you think organisations can be a bit more understanding or accommodating, especially when women in particular have a second shift?
Yes, that's a really, really good question. And I can sort of see it from both sides because, you know, workplaces, I mean, my job was working from home even before the pandemic. So I know that it works, and I know that I'm just as productive, probably more so working from home.
Yeah.
Even with taking time out to put the washing on or whatever. I just work an hour or two later into the evening, so that's how I do it. So I can see that it works, but I can also see some of the agencies that I have to work with my own job. There's no one in the office ever now because since the pandemic they've never come back, and so you can never get hold of anyone, and their managers are frustrated because they can't see their team. So I can see it from both sides. I just think that there needs to just be a review and a reorganisation of how people can work from home, so that when they're working from home, they're not actually sitting on the beach or whatever. I've heard of somebody that was actually on the beach in Australia, kind of like working from home, as it were. And that does happen, but it's probably not very common.
There are some things called workations.
Yes, that's
so
true.
that can work where the workplace has agreed for you to go to this lovely place.
Yeah.
And actually, I think they pay for a week of it because they expect a week of work from you, but the other week, have a vacation, enjoy it, but you're allowed to be out of the office, and I think it can be quite refreshing for some people.
Yes.
But yes, you do make a good point that a review probably is needed, just in terms of, okay, if you're really worried about productivity, then what tools are you giving people? How are you measuring productivity? Those sorts of questions are really important. Now, to Prissy, we met in a co-working environment, which, you know, I will always be grateful for. You are a real champion of co-working spaces, not just for actually people who are working from home in a 9-to-5 job, but for freelancers who can feel really lonely otherwise.
That's how I feel. I mean, I'm a charity founder, so I'm doing most of this on my own. I work from home. And I live on my own. So for me, I spend a lot of time at home. So I am actually okay with my own space, but there is so much of my own space I can take. And I miss being in an office. I miss having those talks by the coffee machine. And, you know, just those random conversations which will lead to a tangent, which will then help you in some shape or form. But also just lets you get rid of that little bit of stress you had because you've had that conversation. And for me, you know, we spend 8 hours at work. You've got to enjoy what you do. And if you're not in an environment where you feel happy and comfortable, you're not going to be productive. For me, I think it's the balance between, you know, people going into work to have that socialising and connecting, especially if you live on your own or work on your own. You need that human connection. We are human beings that, after all, so we need that human connection. And it is also being able to bounce ideas, to have conversations, and you will all help each other. But as women, yes, we need that bit more flexibility. I mean, I don't have kids, but for me, there's still 101 things that still need doing. And I can do those things, but still be productive. And I find the times when I need that on my own, from home, I can get a lot done in a very short space of time. So actually, it shouldn't be on how long you're there, it's how much you achieve. And I think this is where people then look going, well, if she can do that in 2 hours, then why do we give her 4?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Just pointed out something,
you know,
which
and I'm like,
is huge.
And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. When you're in an office, it's very different because the dynamics and who's there and how it works. But likewise, even at home, if you're spending too much time on your own, it affects your mental health, and then you really struggle. So I think, you know, like Jude was saying, you've got to put in practices that help you. And it is going for a morning walk, because I go for a walk before I start work. And that really lifts me and gets me going. But then I've also scheduled in a walk at lunchtime, and then I do one in the evening. Or I combine it, if I've got meetings, I'll try and walk there rather than take the car. So I get some form of exercise and fresh air, because that is what helps re-energize you. And not just staying in the office, because people used to sit there and eat at the desks. and never leave.
Never go.
And I'd be like, because they were worried, we have to finish, but start at 9, finish at 5. And I think that's wrong.
I agree with you. And what the current research is looking at the moment in workplace and organisational psychology is that after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, everyone went, oh, we kept up productivity. Amazing. That's so good. Now the pandemic's over. Let's still keep forcing people to do even better because we did so well in the pandemic. And it's kind of like, no. You didn't realise that people are now on their knees from pushing so hard in the pandemic. It's now actually saying, let's give you a bit of a break now that we can actually relax. So on that, let's go to you, Jude. So we've been talking about practical adaptations.
Yeah.
What kind of mental mind shifts do you think the workplace needs to make, Jude?
I think, because I think that the employers and managers quite often think that everyone just fits into a box. So everybody has different needs, whether they have a diagnosed condition or not, or an undiagnosed condition or no condition. Everybody has different needs. Yeah. So I think there needs to just be some thinking about, from managers and employers, how people might work in the environment. So I'll give you an example. The last school I worked in, which closed completely and everybody left, and that was it. I didn't want to go back to teaching after that. Because as each year group left, they didn't then fill them up. So the school was getting emptier and emptier and emptier. So in the last year, everybody worked in this building. But I had a classroom right over here in this building, all by myself, no kitchen, no bathroom, no nothing. So I was completely isolated. So it's just an example to show that nobody thought about how that might impact me. Yeah. So if I needed the bathroom in between 2 lessons, I couldn't because I was miles away. If I needed a quick drink, little things really, really help. So what I'm trying to say is, to help with people's mental health doing their job, they need to be considered for things like that.
Yes.
So it's just giving a little bit of thought to how people might work in your workspace, in your environment.
Yes, and I think that is really important because we don't. And because of conditioning, why should we?
Well, employers have always followed this suit of tick box. Yeah. We need to get our, I've forgotten the word now, sort of certification to say we're doing this, right? And it shouldn't be like that. Yeah. And what helps you might not help me, but actually it's providing services, different services, to say maybe yoga helps, maybe meditation helps, maybe we'll put on a wellbeing walk or something. Giving lots of different options to say these are all the things that you can do and you can take time out to do them. But also letting them say, come to me if there's something in particular you want to do that we haven't thought of. Allowing feedback to be both ways.
And listen to.
And not just being dictated to going, this is how we're doing our well-being, because they think that works for them and it works for everyone. It doesn't.
Well, do you know, the funniest thing about this, and we've had Rob Stevens on this show talking about the workplace interventions which work and which don't work. And something that people haven't considered is when you say, oh, we put these in because they work for me, actually that's not what's happening. Leaders are putting them in because it is a tick box exercise. Exactly. You ask leaders, are any of you actually using those? They're not. And I know that because I've been in running sessions with them. And they all look at me, they all go a bit sheepish. And these are quite, blustery leaders. Oh, yes, we do this. They don't put on that voice. But they will say, oh, no, I haven't tried.
But imagine if they did. And the stress levels that could come down if they followed what they preach.
Or if they went, actually, I've tried it and that doesn't work for me. What I'd like to see is this, because this will help me. That way you get a workplace wellbeing program which is actually tailored and actually useful.
But the thing is, because there is left and right brain.
Of course.
Some people are going to be more analytical, some are going to be more creative. So you sort of need something that covers both. And I think this is where you need people to trial them. And even then, you're not going to get it perfectly.
Yes.
But there will be options. And you could even say, do you know what, why don't have a well-being half hour every day or something?
Yeah.
And then you do what you want.
Yes.
Because for some people, that might be, do you know what, I've got to do the washing, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. In half an hour, I could do all of that, and I will feel better. And that's okay.
Exactly.
There's no
that.
judgment.
And exactly. And to go back to teaching, what would have made my well-being a huge amount better is that if I didn't have to do playground duty twice a week, which meant I didn't get a break from, you know, when I was in at 7:30 until 1 o'clock or whatever.
Wow.
You know, just to not have to stand on the playground for 20 minutes so that I could sit down with a cup of tea. That would have made all the difference. But no, they kept introducing all these other weird and wonderful, so-called well-being initiatives, which caused us more work and didn't increase our well-being.
You've actually hit another nail on the head recently. I was, again, delivering a session, and I said to them, so what wellbeing initiatives are there, or wellbeing interventions? And they said, well, for the students, there's loads. There's everything. Just not for us. And that is a real issue.
Because you're only looking at one end.
Yeah.
Because now all the focus has become
is
on
the client, patient, student.
and it is very much, we need to intervene sooner, be more proactive rather than reactive, but actually you're forgetting the other half. And also it is saying, you know, I think for me it's, you're introducing stuff, but sometimes, yes, it is just a tick box. It's always sometimes just for a short while. Oh, it didn't work, so we're not going to do this now.
Yes.
But not even looking at why didn't it work.
Yes.
And actually, when you ask people for their opinions, you need to ask it anonymously. You need to ask, and you need to ask, and you also need to listen. And this is where, you know, it's, you said we did.
Yes.
We actually need to say, you said this, we listened, so we've implemented this. Like you said, they're very simple things. They could have employed someone to do that job in the breaks.
Or just
playground
around, you know. It's one of those
not
things where, okay, we realise we can't do everything. So you can look at a number of suggestions and say, well, I can implement 5 out of 10 of them, but at least explain your reasoning. And when people understand that, they might come up with their own solutions as well, which makes a huge difference. So on that note, we're actually going to head over to one of our other guests, Susan Papula. She is a leadership consultant. She was on the show recently with some brilliant tips on when it's right for organisations to pivot and how to do it. Let's head over to Susan.
I often talk about the importance of having a purpose, the importance of knowing the impact that you want to make, of finding the people to work with you to achieve your objectives and your goals. All of those things are important. But I don't know about you. Sometimes you might find that you're doing everything that you can to make things work, to achieve your objective, but it's not working. At those times, it's important to pause to review what you're doing and to understand the steps. Why isn't it working? Is it something that I am doing? Something that my team members are doing? Or is it the processes, the structure? What isn't working? Are there external factors that have changed, the economic climate, what competitors are doing? Was it that what you're doing was in line with a trend, but the trend has changed? At such points in time, you need to pause, review, pivot, make changes. It could be on a temporary basis that we're just going to do this one thing different at this point in time, but then we're going to go back at a later stage. But it's important to that purpose, to the vision, to the goal, to the ultimate impact that you want to have, that from time to time you take the time to review, which is why it's good to understand the processes and what and how you do things, to be able to stay up to date with what's going on externally, so that you can see what's going wrong, and you can pause and make those changes. If you don't, you might find that you fail, not because you're not good and not because you're capable or because you've done something wrong, but it's just things weren't aligning to enable things to work. And if we're talking about our health, our well-being, and being our best selves, that's not beneficial to you. And it won't also be beneficial to the people you work with or the people you're trying to serve.
Hey there, I'm Diane Forster, host of I Have Today, where we talk about the art of intentional living. Our show is on the Fresh Takes channel on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you're ready to be inspired, empowered, and educated and learn how to live the I Have Today way, then tune in. Hope to see you there.
Navigating today's workplace is tough.
Toxic employees, endless drama, a lack of motivation. We've all been there.
But fear not, we are here to help. My name is Leanne and I'm a chartered psychologist.
My name is Al and I'm a business owner. And together we dig into the scientific and commercial secrets behind great workplace cultures in Truth, Lies and Work.
A no-nonsense, award-winning psychology podcast brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. We explore practical strategies for building a great workplace.
We debunk buzzwords and bring you the very best advice around finding and keeping great people, from personality tests.
Personality tests they're mostly bollocks. I don't know what kind of language you do on your podcast. I don't know if people know this, but the man who wrote the Wonder Woman comics is the person who invented the disc.
When more flexible working became a norm, you no longer hurt your career prospects by being the one person who worked flexibly.
All the way to avoiding high turnover.
We recruit and promote people to managerial roles based on their technical skills, not their people skills. This is a very fundamental problem we have, which we haven't directly tackled.
From toxic-free cultures,
interventions for the individual are only half the answer. Systemic change is the other half.
to sustainable growth.
Thinking beyond just paying somebody a good salary, I think is super necessary now. We have to offer so much more than that.
We have got you covered.
So join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we help you to simplify the science of work and build amazing workplace cultures.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. It is our special. We have the most amazing panel here. I am standing in front of one of our lovely ladies. I do apologise for that. I will move out the way shortly. But I do want to warn our viewers, we are our producer down, so I'm going to nip behind the production desk and I will be producing and presenting as well. But meanwhile, we have a new lady joining us. This is Anita Powell. She has been working really, really hard in the area of menopause and getting our voices heard when it comes to menopause and understanding the issues around menopause. So before we start, I'm going to pop over to a clip from Virginia Dale Manning. She talks about, because it's very uplifting, we've come to the point where we do need to reclaim our power. She talks about women as a centerpiece of a dining table. Let's have a listen to Virginia.
Think about your dining room table, right? There's the centerpiece and then there's the placemats. Well, we are the centerpiece, right? What are you doing to your actual dining room table? You're buying a new centerpiece because the other one was old. You're sprucing it up. You're cleaning it. You're making sure it's cute. Because guess what? If that centerpiece is not cute and well put together, no matter how old those placemats are, they still don't look good. So we're the centerpiece. You have to take care of you, make sure you're nice, fresh, spruced up, energetic. So the rest of the table, the placemats, the work, the kids, the all of the other stuff that we really never change, because we don't change the placemats. We just change the centerpiece and look like a whole new table.
It's true. And I love that because that's such a beautiful way of putting it. It's a very respectful and inspiring way to see ourselves. The centerpiece. It's nice rather than the glue,
The glue. Yeah, and I'm not the glue. I'm the centerpiece. You need me to look good.
Thank you, Virginia. To find out more about her, you can go to Jinman Consulting. She is based in Texas, so we're so grateful to her for coming zooming all the way into us in the UK. Now, To really fulfill our centrepiece role, we do need to understand some of the other health issues or just age-related issues that we might face. And that's why we've got our wonderful, wonderful menopause advocate in today. Anita, I'm going to throw the first question over to you, and then I'm going to head to the production desk. How can we get other people to better understand the adaptations and the changes that might need to be made for women who are in perimenopause or menopause to get the best out of us?
Not only does society sometimes forget about who we are as we age, we forget about who we are as we age. So the best way to prepare for menopause is to never forget that you have value. Never forget self-care. And whether you have children or whether you are committed to your job or whether you're committed to your partner, pre-menopause, always commit to yourself. And I feel that I've realised that is the most important thing, because as part of my advocacy is I have to work with women and also myself to learn and to re-educate ourselves and how to nurture ourselves. And actually, we shouldn't have to re-nurture. We should always be nurturing ourselves. So that to me is the most important thing. Self-care and love throughout, from the day we're born.
That's such brilliant advice. Something I think we probably struggle to keep in mind. So thank you. And on that then, how do you think age plays a part in visibility? So for example, we've heard horror stories of people going to the GPs and maybe not being valued because they're getting older. And as an example, GPs might not tell people over the age of, say, 50, some of the side effects that might affect sexuality because they don't think that people over 50 are having sex, maybe. So how do you see age affecting visibility?
I think sometimes as women, we need to actually understand how, as part of our identity, visibility is.
Yes.
Because one thing I've discovered about doing menopause, some women, they don't suffer symptoms. They look absolutely amazing, but their obstacle is aging. You know, because menopause does affect your skin. I mean, you do see women who look absolutely fabulous, but they don't look 18. And they spend all day in the gym. They're absolutely beautiful hair, beautiful skin, but they look 45.
Yeah.
And sometimes with women like that who don't have any physical menopausal symptoms, the struggle of aging is they can't stop aging.
Very true.
And the reason why they can't stop aging is because they don't want to become invisible. You know, that's their frustration. So I've noticed with older women that we need to first of all step up to understand that we need visibility and understand it for what it is. Because one of the things I've noticed as well is there are some absolutely beautiful people out there.
Yes.
But once they lose their beauty, they struggle.
So they feel invisible because they don't have the looks that they perceive that they always did.
Yes. They struggle with men who don't open doors for them. They struggle with the fact that work colleagues don't want to chase them. They struggle with the fact they go to nightclubs and no one wants to date them. They struggle being called MILFs and grandmas. It's a terrible thing to say, but that's one of the things I noticed.
Yeah,
that
it's
some women actually really struggle mentally with being considered to be a mother or a grandmother. And they look fabulous. It's not about the fact that they've put weight or their hair doesn't look as grey. They're absolutely as glam as anything, but they refuse to become invisible. So therefore they had a great reliance on visibility. Because if you were never visible, you won't miss it.
Yeah, very true. So for them, really, it's how they feel more than whether they are.
They need to acknowledge it because it affects their mental health.
Yeah. But the thing is, if we had grown up loving ourselves, being taught that, and realised that we come first and we are important, then actually we'd always be visible.
To ourselves.
Yeah, because it wouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. Because the person you spend the most amount of time with is yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can love yourself for who you are and where you are, because we are all going to change. We can't change the fact we're going to grow old, but we can affect how we act. Because you're as young as you feel, you know, and a part of me does believe that if there is not a word, you know, there's such inspiring films out there where you've seen women as well as men do things that I would have gone, there's no way I could do that, or there's no way I think you could do that. And you've seen women, you know, swim across the channel and do this, and you think, oh my God, at their age, but they've managed it. But it is that thing of going, you are as young as you feel, and if you want to try something, who says you can't? You know, and I think we put the barriers in ourselves, mentally going, we've hit this age, because society, and it's the way kids and family will talk to you, to go, well, you should slow down now. You shouldn't be doing this at your age. But actually, who says? They could be a very young 60, 70-year-old with so much zest for life, and you're thinking you're pushing them down. So then they feel less visible because they believe that that's what they should be. And also, doctors are going by books and guidelines and putting everyone in boxes, going, when you hit this age, this is what you should do.
It's that word "should" again, isn't it?
Should.
Yeah, which we've used quite a few times.
But can I also say that one of the biggest enemies of women are other women?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So actually, it's not just about men. It's not just about society.
No.
There's a lack of sisterhood around supporting women, and so many women are oppressed because other women have an expectation of them, and women need to develop skill sets and how to manage the wider society, men. And also women.
Yeah. And that is where it comes to finding your tribe.
Yeah.
Is find your tribe, be around people who lift you and support you. Because you're always going to meet people who you don't connect with. And like you said, it's navigating your way through them and go, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely right. You've hit on a really good point there. And Pretty, in your experience, do you think seniors are becoming the invisible community? As in, are they being less provided for? Or are people expecting too much with everything going online? What can we do? And how can we kind of initiate positive views by society of older people?
I think because of money and the way where we are in society at the moment, it very much is local authorities' budgets are being cut. So they're being cut in every industry, near enough, NHS, the local government. So they're trying to find ways to save money, but what I think they forget is they're still people. We're not numbers, we're people. And some people won't be able to do everything online, and they're going to need to be able to speak to someone. But they're cutting off the avenues for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, they are.
And it is becoming online, is literally email or fill in a form. And you're like, no, but I need to speak to someone because you don't understand what is going on. And we are all different people. And I think, you know, with my own dad having a stroke and having dementia, that has made me look at life very differently as well, because dementia can kick in at any age as well. And once that kicks in, then they're not going to know what they're doing. And I think it's also, it is refreshing to see councils putting in activities and things for older people and age and saying, look, we're putting on these activities which will help look after you as you grow older. And I think that is great. So there is some nurturing, and there are groups out there which are tailored for people over 50 because there is a different need as you grow older.
Yes.
So I think as a community it is happening, but it's you've got to be in the know to find these groups. And again, this comes down to finding everything online, or you're relying on people to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. People who know that can just suggest.
And it's a shame, but I think we also need to remember people are living longer. So we need to be able to provide these services because people need them.
Well, I totally agree, and I think there should be more emphasis because people are living longer, and they need to live longer well as well.
And the thing is, you know, we've drummed into society that you work until you retire, then you enjoy life. But the thing is, if people just stop as soon as they retire, they're more likely to pass away because they've just stopped doing everything.
Yes.
And their body isn't used to that. And I think it would be better if people gradually just went, do you know what, I'm going to go from 5 days to 4 to 3, and then start doing more of what I enjoy at a younger age. And then when retirement comes, you've still got things to do, but they're things you want to do rather than things you have to do.
Yes, very good point. Definitely.
I'd like to add something here now. Jude, you've talked about this on the shows before, and we've said about ageing that we are afraid of it in so many ways. That resonates with a lot of people. It resonates with me, and what you said, Anita, that really resonates with me as well. That I'm still going to look older. I'm never going to look 21 again. And it does make you feel different. So could you tell us a little bit more about those things that you are afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, we have spoken about this before, and I really, really do hate the thought of getting older. But I also have to bear in mind that I also hate the thought of not getting older. You know, it's a privilege to get old. So I'm bearing that in mind, and so I'm just talking about the aging process. It really does worry me, and I think that some of the things you were saying about invisibility, they really resonate. You know, but also another thing, going back to GPs, something I've noticed when I go to the GP, they always say, "Are you still working?" Like, what would you do if I said no? Would you not treat me? Would you give me a different treatment? And I get that a lot now, and it really angers me. And like I said before, I don't ever want to stop working completely. So hopefully I'll always be able to say, yes, I'm still working and contributing, you know, positively to community. I don't know what the basis of their question is, but anyway. So that's one thing that worries me. But the thing, I thought about this a lot, and I think the thing that worries me most of all is I don't have children. I am lucky enough to be married. But what about when I'm really old and, you know, maybe my husband can't care for me, or, you know, what if I go first and he's left and he can't look after himself? You're then at the complete mercy of people you don't know looking after you for the rest of your life. And that's the thing that terrifies me about getting to that stage. But before that, the other thing that worries me is, you know, not being able to go for a really long walk because my legs don't work the same way they used to. And it's just annoying getting old. Just annoys me, but it's scary at the same time.
Well, if that resonates with any of our viewers, please put it in the comments. Now we've got Anita, I always like to bombard with questions. I have a personal bugbear with getting older because my body, I can't trust it anymore. I will go into the shower perfectly fine and tweak my back. I will have ridiculously heavy periods. All of those different things. I can't trust myself. How can I become a little bit more comfortable with things that I can't control in a body that I've been able to rely on up until now?
I mean, one thing I've learned covering menopause as part of self-care is also being self-aware of our body as a body way before you're menopausal. So even little things like now I'm learning about gut health, I'm understanding the importance of stretching, I'm understanding that food isn't just energy, it's also about nutrients, micronutrients and all the other stuff. So I'm conscious about the protein I eat, I'm also conscious of my carbohydrate compared to my fat level. I mean, I do it all. I haven't got time to work. I've got apps to look at. You know, I'm conscious of the steps I do, how much fluid I drink. You know, I mean,
there is a lot, isn't there?
It's a lot.
There is a lot.
There is
a lot. It's scary.
I have to analyse my toilet production because have I had enough fluid? It's the wrong colour.
Yeah.
You know, so
you do worry. I'm with you on that one.
So you know, my Bristol stools and everything. So I realise I'm oversharing. I do that a lot. So I realise that actually, as getting older, we have to be more educated and informed, and we are. That's partly the reason why we age a lot better than our ancestors did.
But I do find that when you go to the doctors, because I must be getting close to perimenopause, and I can. My last 2 periods, talk about oversharing, I have got to that point where my body has got too drained. Okay. And literally a couple of days before, it's like it shuts down. Okay. And it literally just goes, I could go do my normal routine of going for a walk in the morning, doing a bit of work, and then all of a sudden I'm exhausted. And I need 4 hours to stop. And I'm like, no, I don't need 4 hours. There's nothing wrong with me. And then you're beating yourself up going, what am I doing? What's going on? There's something else going on. And then when you go to the doctors and you go, is this related? Because I am borderline anemic sometimes and my folic acid has dropped. So all of those things go into my head. And then I'm going, am I overanalyzing? What is this? And then not once has the doctor said, this could be perimenopause. And when I've raised it and said, could you check my hormones level? They're like, your period still happens, doesn't it? You're absolutely fine, love. And I'm like, no, there are other, symptoms, but they're not interested.
I mean, one thing I can say about the hormone level is that you can't really tell perimenopause and menopause by hormone levels, simply because your hormones change and fluctuate so much in a day that it's actually a bad measure. Unless you're going to literally do a hormone test 9 o'clock on a Monday, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, 1 o'clock on that same day, and then do the same thing for the next 2 or 3 days, you won't truly understand your hormone levels. So the best way is to, as a guideline for somebody of our age, is to tell by your age, your symptoms, and just how you're feeling. Those are normally the best things to do. Yeah. Now, even before you mentioned about, I forgot what you said now, but I was thinking iron levels.
Yeah.
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 Because one thing I've noticed, and I don't know why, because I've read loads of books, there's no explanation, but loads of menopausal women have iron deficiency. And I don't know why. Loads of women I know take iron tablets.
Yeah, I've had it before, but they constipate me, so I can't have it. I have to go, no, they don't work. I found an alternative. So I do, what I've had to, it was only in COVID that my folic acid dropped to the point I could sleep like this. In the middle of the day, I'd be drained, exhausted. And it was only when I forced myself to the doctors, because I don't go very often. I don't take medicine. I don't need it. I don't want to, unless something is wrong. And when I went and they did an all, blood check, and it came up, my folic acid level should be between 5 and 35. I was on 3. And he said, no wonder you're struggling, and gave me tablets and it boosted it. But the thing is, what I'm realising is that only lasts for a little while and it will drop. And what I'm realising is now when my periods come, because I'm losing blood, the iron's dropping, you're losing more. So I'm now having to supplement on a more regular basis to take more iron folic on a regular basis, because that's the only way I can sustain it. And I think that's all we can do. But it is individual, the symptoms you feel, but it's when people look at you going, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, is there? You're fine. And I'm like, no, I'm not actually. I'm tired, or this has happened. Just because I put on a smile and I try and carry on doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with me. But it is learning to listen to your body and go, actually, do you know what? I'm tired, I'm stopping. What is the worst that's going to happen?
It's also about recognising exactly what you said. We do put on a smile and we do go, oh, everything's fine, because we feel the need to be the caregiver, to be the stable one, to be the person that you can come to that's solid all the time. And that is a lot, that's draining. Before we go to our next segment, does our panel mind giving us a top tip from each of you for living well? We'll go with Pretty, then Jude, then Anita, please.
Okay, for me it has to be getting fresh air. Leave the house. Please go out and go for a walk. Doesn't even matter if you just walk around the block. Just go outside. Listen to the birds, being between nature. Honestly, it's absolutely beautiful. And just taking those 10 minutes will help you when you come back. Productivity levels in whatever you need to do, even your mood, it will help lift you. So that would be mine. Go outside.
Yeah, that's really important. Mine would be get enough sleep. And I'm someone that doesn't get enough sleep. I'm a night owl and will stay up because it annoys me that the day's over and I haven't done everything that I wanted to do. So I just stay up and up and up. And so don't do what I do. Get a really good bedtime routine. In all seriousness, it's really, really important. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, and get some quality sleep.
And I agree with both of you, but I've got an additional thing to add. I was listening to a podcast last week, as you do, and it talked about how women are women are people pleasers, and it's not a good thing. And they said that we need to stop being good daughters and just be kind with boundaries.
Yeah,
so that is the message. Yes, daughters are always pleasing to their parents, pleasing to the members of the family, and sometimes they let go boundary lines because they're too keen to please. But actually, we need to learn to be kind, but have boundaries with regards to our own well-being. Yeah, so and that is what I pass on.
Love yourself first. Don't go looking for it outside. Love yourself first.
I love that. I love all of those, and they all really resonate with me. And if this has been resonating with any of you, our next guest segment is from Bianca Chappell. She came on the show, and she has got her top tips for a morning and a bedtime routine. Let's go over to Bianca.
Ooh. Hi, I'm Bianca Chappell, and I'm going to share with you a few tips on how to develop a morning routine that serves you for a really bright and fulfilled day, and also a night routine of how to wind down from the day and enjoy sleep. So the days are really, really busy. We all know that we have a lot on, and very, very rarely do we take time to actually calculate what is included in our day, what we need to do to be able to navigate it with success. So my top tip would be to set yourself a morning routine. Morning routines do not have to be anything ambiguous. They can be very small, but just steps that takes time for you to just take stock of your day in the morning. I quite like to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and enjoy the morning club, where it's just me and my calendar, looking at what's involved in my day and really scheduling what needs to be done, where it needs to be done, and how I want it to be done. This doesn't have to be a huge proportion of time. This can be 5 minutes, this can be 15 minutes, this can be half an hour. You set the tone for your day because it's your day, but never underestimate the power of just being organised. So once you've done that, you're able to navigate your day with success, knowing what needs to be done, all in order. And of course, sometimes things don't go according to plan, but because you've got a structure, you've got something to face back and look back on and turn around and make it work the way it needs to. Then let's move into the evening, nighttime routine. Nighttime is something that should absolutely be there as a chance to reset. The evening should be a chance where we can just take time to restock, regroup, rebalance from the day in the hope to enjoy a good sleep where the mind can just switch off and we can just start again anew. I'm sure you might have heard things about an evening routine, and that can include anything from taking a bath, that can do anything from having a moment of solace and a moment of gratitude. Something that I really like to do of an evening is just have time to recalibrate, just 10 minutes, somewhere between coming from downstairs and going into bed, and just taking time to just come down from the day. That might be reading a book, that might be meditating, that might be doing some yoga or something that's like a mindful practice. But that little space in between switching off from the day and actually enjoying that time to get into your bed and enjoy a restful slumber is absolutely life-changing, because it gives your mind a chance to just exhale. It gives a chance for the body to relax, and it tells the brain that it's sleep time now, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy a lovely sleep.
Well, thank you very much, Bianca. And as we've been talking throughout the show, so much has been resonating with me. If it's been resonating with you, please put it in the comments. As you can see, this is Mental Health Matters. I'm on the production desk producing and presenting today because our producer is ill, but we have the most amazing panel in talking about how we, women in particular, can live well as we're getting a little bit older. And now, we've had some trends which I wanted to talk about. The first trend I'm going to throw over to our panel is there is a trend where older people, seniors, are now selling houses and moving in together. So you've always got someone to be there and a companion. What does our panel think of that approach to getting older?
I love it. I first saw that on Grace and Frankie. If you haven't seen the series, watch it, because it is amazing. And they're two very different women who come together. But I love the fact that you'd be with friends or like-minded people in a community where people get you. And you could all help each other, play on your strengths. And I think, rather than going in a home where you don't know anyone, why not be with people who know you? And you'd have so much fun. The fun would never stop.
I totally
Sign me up
agree.
now.
I think that's just such an amazing idea. It's funny because I have a group of friends that I've known since I was about 20. And we went through our 20s together, and we were like, oh, it'd be great if we could get a big old house and all live together. And, it was just a pie in the sky, and we've all gone off and got married, etc., etc. But actually, I can see that might happen now, where we might all come together when we're in our, 80s, 90s, and all live together and all help each other. I love that. It's such a good idea.
I mean, I know some people have gone to the extent where they have bought land and they've built houses with multiple apartments. And they have, as part of going in, they have agreements with regards to maintenance. It's very structured and stuff. But the aim is that I suppose it's a commune, really, but it's not a hostile one, if you know what I mean. It's not dodgy. So it's just about friends getting together. And if they do need a carer, they all pay for a carer. It's a self-made care home.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes.
Because you're actually tailoring for your own needs.
Yes.
And also you've got control of the care that you get, and you know that you can get quality care.
Because you can
I
pay a
love
bit
this
more,
idea.
and you could all get really.
And you'll share the carers.
Oh, I'm not so scared about getting old now.
Yeah, that sounds so much more fun, doesn't it?
It really does. Actually.
Well, if you like that panel, there has been another trend going on, and that is as you get older, you sell up your house, everything, go and live in the Ritz, or go on a cruise with a carer, so you can actually spend your days enjoying life, fully enjoying life. Because if, as Pretty said right at the start of the show, if we're conditioned to work until we retire and then we can enjoy life, really, really enjoy it. What do we think of that panel?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the cruise idea. So I was literally on holiday, and cruises are generally older people go on cruises anyway, because it's designed less walking, but enjoying the sea. Because there's facts around what they call blue health, which is how water and rivers benefit you because it lowers your blood pressure. It's been proven, and it helps with your mental health. And also going outside, you increase your vitamin D level, which increases your immunity. So the power of being on a boat all day is actually medicine.
As long as you don't get seasick. Yeah, that bit. I don't know about that bit.
And avoid storms.
Yeah, there you go. Just ignore the Titanic, okay? We all know how that ended. No. But honestly, but I like the idea of, do you know what? That money is going to go into care anyway. The government will take it, right? It will be taken in some form or shape or form to look after you. So why not live well? Why not do things? And I think this sort of ties in with the charity work I do, because I'm helping adults and children towards the end of their lives. You're sort of like, why can't they have what they want? And it's very similar, like, why don't we plan that way? While we have that ability to do things, go do them. If you need to take someone with you to help you, go do it with them. But why are we limiting ourselves by going, I'm too old, or this isn't appropriate for me yet? I don't think you'll ever see me doing that, because I don't do things that are age appropriate, and I don't really care. And when I go, I want to be dressed fully in colour. And I also I love the idea. If I know there is something wrong with me and I'm going to go that way, then I want a living wake. I want to be there celebrating with my friends.
Yeah.
And I want to hear all the things they want to say. I won't hear any of that when I'm gone. And a part of me is like, do you know what? If you know that's happening, because you can't plan it otherwise, but you could have a party. Why not? Just have one every so often with your close friends.
I suppose it could replace birthday parties.
Yes.
Celebrating old age.
Yes, celebrating old age and coming together.
And doing a live wakes. And, I don't know about maybe not. But yeah, I think we live longer, we have a better quality of life. I think we need to embrace ageing differently.
Yeah.
I do think we need to embrace self-care better. I think we need to not solely rely on doctors. We need to be educated on our minerals. Food isn't, as I mentioned, isn't just fuel. It feeds us. It can have an impact on our
health. But we're
health.
also not getting all we need from food. So we do need supplements, but it's taking the right ones.
Yeah.
And it's learning how to live. And it's actually saying, rather than waiting till things happen, if we start now taking more of a holistic view, and and I think you do find you go more towards spirituality the older you get, the more you go through life and all the experiences, you then realise that now is the time to look at life differently. But I did meet a young person, and you know what, honestly, I sounds really old now, isn't it? But I met this 18-year-old at a networking event. Honestly, it was an old soul in a young body. And I thought, I wish I knew what you know at this age. I wish I knew it at that age and when I was 18, because my life would be very different. I wish at schools they would teach you sort of the skills you need for life a bit more, like to help grow you.
I would rather parents teach.
But I think you need it from all.
I think you need it from all, but sometimes I feel as a society we need to strengthen the relationships between elders and youngers. Sometimes I think teachers just need to do their job teaching, because sometimes teachers struggle with that.
But the thing is, parents, if they haven't dealt with their own trauma, can't give you what is needed. That's why you end up going to specialists, because if they haven't dealt with that trauma and all they're giving you is what they've got and what they've learned, you're actually just using the same information. Whereas actually, sometimes the older generation need a little bit of a revamp to go, try this. What about this? Because they're so afraid because they've been used to living life in a certain way.
Maybe we need to go back to a village raised as a child. So we do have the parents, but that we also have the support of their parents, and we have the support of the school and the next door neighbour who's very wise. You know, maybe we need to kind of go back to that somehow.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I've got nothing with regards to teachers teaching young people, but I can see that there's a breakdown in communication with regards to community learning. So actually, we need to focus on bringing different ages together more so, and educating young people on the journey of life, and sometimes let teachers just focus on teaching. That's how I feel. I think sometimes we're too kind of say, oh, you know, children are failing, it's the teacher's fault. And sometimes I think it's a societal fault. We're not engaging enough with the progression of humans as a community.
Oh my goodness, panel, you are amazing. We could keep you on all day, but we are running out of time. So what I'm going to ask you all is to give us, because we've come back to the point about society and how society needs to change, but in our own personal transformative growth, we've all had our own epiphanies and changes. I'd love to close today on having each of you say one thing, one bias or stereotype about getting older that maybe you faced and overcome. And let's go with Anita, Jude, Pretty, if that's okay.
I think women who express assertiveness when they're older are stereotyped as either being angry or Karens. And I think we need to kind of understand that we have a life experience and we've learnt loads of stuff. And we've realised even if there's a storm one day, it's sunny the next. And I think that we have learnt that and lived it. And we shouldn't be stereotyped as being negative when actually we're being assertive.
That's a really good point. Mine is sort of on the same lines. I think if you learn sort of quiet inner confidence when you're young, just have the confidence to carry that through and don't think that you need to be a certain type of person to get anywhere in life. Just know that your quiet confidence will sort of take you through, and just ignore anyone that tells you otherwise.
No people pleasing.
Yes, exactly.
My new saying now is, you're not that person's daughter, you're just kind with boundaries.
Yes. And I would say for me it would be boundaries. We all need to put boundaries in. And it's also self-resilience, that we all have this in us. And as women, we are very, very resilient, and we find a way forward. There is always a way forward. And it is saying, you know, for me, my charity started from me going through a divorce and losing two people close to me. So it shows you anything is possible. So don't just shut off your life. And, you know, when people say, you need to do it when you're young, you need to do this when you're young. You know, I started my charity just before I turned 40. And I know people who have restarted life and redone things and, you know, much ager in life in 50, 60. And I just say there is no time to change your life. You can change at any point. It's the choices. We all have a choice. So make choices that are right for you.
Oh, panel, it has been such a pleasure to have you here. You are so inspirational. I learn so much every single show that we do. Thank you, Pretty. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Anita. If any of that resonated or you've made those changes, please do leave a note in the comments for us. And to end on something that you said there, Pretty, a lot of people say that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Have a healthy week.